The warship descended through Earth's atmosphere like a blade through silk. Admiral Chen stood on the bridge of the Defiant, watching the Zalkar dreadnought's shields shimmer violet against the burning sky. 3 months since the Empire's messenger had arrived. 3 months since humanity had given its answer. Not with words, with fire. "They're broadcasting again," Lieutenant Morrison said, her voice tight. "Same message. Submit or be cleansed." Chen's jaw tightened. The Zalkar Empire had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. 500 species bent knee, paid tribute in resources, technology, lives. When humanity refused, the Empire had been bemused, as if children had spoken out of turn. The first battle at Mars had corrected that assumption. "Sir, incoming transmission," Morrison said. "It's not from the dreadnought." Sources, I don't recognize the signature. "Put it through." Static crackled. Then a voice, feminine and layered with harmonics that suggested multiple vocal cords. "Human vessel. This is Matriarch Vasera of the Mothkai Resistance Fleet. We have been fighting the Zalkar for 70 cycles. We watched your defense at Mars, your tactics, your refusal." A pause. "We wish to speak of alliance. The Mothkai. Intelligence had whispered of them, a species crushed 2 centuries ago, their homeworld now a mining colony. Supposedly extinct." "Matriarch," Chen said carefully. "Why reveal yourselves now? Because you did what we could not. You made them bleed. The Empire dispatched War Master Krell's personal fleet to your system. Such resources are only deployed against existential threats." The harmonics in her voice shifted, suggesting something like grim satisfaction. "You have their attention, and their fear." The dreadnought above fired, not at the Defiant, at the ocean. The lance of coherent energy struck the Pacific, vaporizing water in a column 3 miles wide. The shockwave would kill millions. "Evasive!" Chen barked. "All batteries, return fire." Tungsten rods crossed the distance at relativistic speeds, hammering into the dreadnought's shields. Standard doctrine said those shields could withstand nuclear bombardment. Standard doctrine hadn't accounted for human stubbornness or human innovation. "Fire the Shrike," Chen ordered. Morrison's hands flew across her console. Shrike away. The missile was small, barely larger than a fighter. It twisted through space, AI-guided, learning the shield's harmonic frequencies in real time. The Zalkar point defense systems tried to track it, but human missiles didn't fly predictable patterns. They danced. The Shrike struck. Not the shield. The emitter. The dreadnought's forward shields collapsed. "Railguns, concentrated fire, Sector 7, Chen snapped. The Defiant wasn't alone. 3 destroyers, 2 frigates, and the experimental carrier Prometheus emerged from low orbit. Earth's defense fleet. Undermanned. Outgunned. Unwilling to yield. Their combined barrage tore into the dreadnought's exposed hull. Armor plating shattered. Atmosphere vented. The massive ship listed, engines flaring as it tried to compensate. "Matriarch," Chen said, still watching the tactical display. "You said you wanted to speak of alliance. Speak fast. We have intelligence on Zalkar fleet movements, supply routes, weaknesses in their territorial control. 7 species have quietly pledged to rise when the Empire shows vulnerability." Vesicera's voice carried weight beyond words, hope carefully guarded. "You cannot win alone, humans." "Neither can we. But together." The dreadnought fired again, this time at the Defiant. "Brace," Morrison shouted. The ship shuddered as energy washed over her shields. Alarm shrieked. Deck plating buckled. Chen gripped his chair, feeling the heat through his boots. "Shields at 40%, Morrison reported. "Another hit like that? Won't be another hit?" Chen interrupted. Prometheus launched Strike Package Delta. The carrier's bay doors opened. Not fighters. Something else. Hundreds of them, each containing a single pilot and enough explosive to crack a small moon. They scattered like seeds on the wind, their tiny engines barely registering on sensors. The Zalkar defensive grid ignored them. Too small to matter. Until they weren't. The pilots guided their pods with precision born of desperation and practice. No AI, no remote control. Human minds, human hands, human hearts beating in unison as they threaded through point defense fire. 17 were destroyed. 23 reached the dreadnought's engine array. The explosions were small. Surgical. Perfect. The dreadnought's main drive died. Secondary systems failed. The massive warship, pride of the Zalkar fleet, began a slow tumble toward Earth's gravity well. "They're hailing us," Morrison said. The dreadnought, War Master Krell himself. On screen. The Zalkar appeared, 7 feet of chitinous armor and cold, multifaceted eyes. His mandibles clicked in what might have been fury or respect. Impressive, for primitives. But this changes nothing. The Empire will send more ships. More warriors. Your world will burn. Den will burn with it, Chen said. But we'll take as many of you with us as we can. You fight like the Mothkai once did, before we taught them the price of resistance. War Master, came Vesera's voice, cutting into the channel. Chen's eyes widened. The Mothkai had piggybacked on his transmission. The Mothkai never stopped fighting. We simply learned patience. And now we have found allies who share our refusal to kneel. For the first time, Chen saw something in Krell's expression shift. Uncertainty. The dreadnought was dying, its orbit decaying. The War Master would escape in his personal shuttle, surely. But the message would return to the Empire. Humanity resisted. The Mothkai lived. The galaxy was no longer as stable as the Zalkar believed. This war has just begun, Krell said. Yes, Chen agreed. It has. The transmission cut. Chen turned to Morrison. Get me a secure channel to Matriarch Vesera, and someone find me the casualty reports from that ocean strike. His hands trembled slightly. Millions dead. Millions more to follow, likely. But the alternative was extinction through submission. Admiral, Morrison said quietly. The other defense fleets are reporting similar engagements across the solar system. Jupiter Station held. Luna is... Chen closed his eyes, opened them. Send a message to all remaining forces we held Earth. The Zalkar know we can hurt them. Now we need to prove we can kill them. He looked at the view screen, at the dying dreadnought streaking fire across the sky.
And we need ally.
Vesera, if you can hear me, humanity accepts your offer. Tell us where to strike. Tell us how to make this war cost the Empire everything they have. Then Vesera's harmonic voice. There is a station, a nexus where tribute from 100 worlds is collected and redistributed. It is defended by the Empire's Second Fleet. A pause. It is also where they keep the Mothkai Queen. Our last. Chen felt the weight of those words. You're asking us to help you rescue her. I am asking you to help us cut out the Empire's greed and reclaim our soul in the same strike, Vesera corrected. It will be suicide. Everything worth doing is, Chen said. Send coordinates. We'll meet you there. Morrison stared at him. Sir, we barely survived this.
Our fleet is decimated. Earth's orbital defenses are compromised.
And we're gonna launch an offensive? The best defense, Shen said, watching Earth turn below, beautiful and wounded and defiant, has always been making the enemy bleed. He thought of the pilots who'd flown those pods, of Luna's silence, of the choice humanity faced, die on their knees or die on their feet. When presented with those options, there was really only one answer. The same answer they'd given the Empire's messenger 3 months ago. The same answer they'd give until the last human drew breath. No. The Mothkai fleet emerged from Quantum Slip 3 days later, and Chen understood why the Empire had thought them extinct. 7 ships, not warships. Converted freighters, mining vessels, colony barges retrofitted with weapons that looked salvaged and desperate. Against the Empire's might, they were less than nothing. But they were here. Vesera's face appeared on the view screen. Chen saw her clearly now. Compound eyes that caught light like oil on water, carapace marked with scars that told stories of survival. She was beautiful in a way that defied human aesthetics, all edges and precision. Admiral Chen, she said. Thank you for coming. I did not expect... Humanity keeps its word. Show us the station. The tactical display updated. Chen's breath caught. The station was massive, a ring structure 50 kilometers across, bristling with defensive platforms. Dozens of cargo vessels moved in constant streams, ferrying tribute to and from the surface, and in the center, the Second Fleet, 30 capital ships, hundreds of support craft. Christ, Morrison whispered. The Queen is held in the central spire, Vesera explained. Maximum security. The Empire parades her before new tributaries as an example. She is kept sedated, alone, separated from the collective consciousness of our people. Her voice carried such pain that Chen felt it physically. For 200 years we have felt her absence like a missing limb. Our species dies slowly without her. But if we can reclaim her, reconnect her to the collective, we live, we hope. We fight with purpose again. Impossible odds. Standard military doctrine would call this plan insanity. But standard military doctrine assumed you had something to lose. Earth was already wounded. Luna was ash. This wasn't about strategy. This was about making the Empire pay for every inch of space they claimed. How do we get inside, he asked. We don't. Vesara's mandibles clicked. You do. The station accepted tribute vessels on a scheduled rotation. The Zalkar were nothing if not systematic. 10,000 years of empire built on bureaucracy and routine. The Mothkai had stolen transponder codes, forged documentation. One human ship, disguised as a tribute carrier from a compliant species, could dock. Once inside, a small team could reach the central spire. While we, Vesara continued, provide distraction. We will attack the defense platforms, draw their capital ships out of position. You will have perhaps 30 minutes before they realize the truth. 30 minutes to infiltrate maximum security, rescue your queen, and escape, Chen said flatly. Yes, and your fleet? Against 30 capital ships? Vesara was silent for a moment. We knew the price when we began this resistance, Admiral. Some costs are worth paying. Chen looked at his crew. Morrison, young and brilliant, who'd lost her family on Luna. Tactical Officer Rodriguez, who'd flown combat missions for 20 years and never backed down. Weapons Chief Okonkwo, who'd personally designed the Shrike missiles that had saved Earth. They were tired. Scared.
Determined animation. We'll need volunteers, Chen said.
A team small enough to move fast, skilled enough to survive. This isn't a military operation. It's a smash and grab against the most powerful empire in the galaxy. I'll go, Morrison said immediately. Lieutenant, sir, with respect, you need someone who understands Zalkar systems. I've been studying their technology since Mars. And she met his eyes. Luna was my home. I want them to hurt. She was too young, too valuable. But he saw something in her expression that he recognized from every mirror he'd looked into since this war began. Purpose. The kind that couldn't be denied. Fine. Rodriguez, Okonkwo, you're with me. Morrison. Pick 6 more. Combat specialists. We go in hard and fast. He turned to Vesara. Your queen, will she be able to move? Fight? The Mothkai queens are not fragile things, Admiral. They are warriors who birth warriors. But she will be weak. Disoriented. Vesara's eyes glimmered. She will need protection. She'll have it. Chen checked his chronometer.
We move in 12 hours.
That enough time to prepare your distraction?
More than enough, Vesara said.
Admiral, why do this? Your species owes us nothing. This rescue does not directly aid Earth's defense. Chen thought about the Empire's first message. The casual arrogance. The assumption that humanity would simply comply because every other species had. He thought about Luna. About the children who'd never grow old. About the choice to resist not because victory was certain, but because submission was unthinkable. Because if we only fight for ourselves, he said, we become what they think we are. Primitives. Animals defending territory. But if we fight for others, for ideas bigger than our own survival, he smiled grimly, then we're something the Empire has never faced before. A threat not to their territory, but to their entire philosophy. Vesara studied him. The Mothkai have a saying. From different soils, the same roots. I think I understand now why you refuse tribute, Admiral Chen. Your people are warriors not of conquest, but of defiance. Call us stubborn, Chen said. It's more accurate. The 12 hours passed in a blur of preparation. The Defiant was retrofitted with stolen Zalkar hull plating, her weapons hidden behind false panels. Chen's team trained in the cargo hold, running scenarios. Morrison worked with Mothkai technicians to decode the station's security protocols. When the time came, Chen stood in the airlock, checking his weapon one final time. Human plasma rifle, modified with Mothkai targeting systems. On his hip, a blade because some situations required silence. Sir, Morrison said, approaching. She held a small device. The Mothkai gave me this. It's a Neuralink. If we successfully wake the Queen, this will allow us to communicate with her.
Their language is complex.
Pheromonal, visual, and auditory all at once. This translates. Chen took it, fitted it to his ear. Good thinking. Everyone ready? 8 humans in Zalkar tribute servant disguises. Okonkwo had complained the costume made him look like a very angry janitor, which was somehow fitting. The Defiant approached the station. Chen watched through the viewport as the massive ring grew larger, blotting out stars. Defense platforms tracked them but didn't fire. The transponder codes held. Tribute Vessel Karnash, a Zalkar voice crackled through comms. You are cleared for Docking Bay 7. Proceed with standard protocols. Acknowledged, Morrison replied in flawless Zalkar. She'd learned their language in 3 weeks. The woman was terrifying when motivated. They docked. The bay doors opened. Chen led his team out, heads lowered in the posture of submission. Zalkar guards watched but didn't approach. Why would they? Tribute servants arrived daily. This was routine. Chen activated his wrist display. Morrison had uploaded the station schematic. Central Spire was 3 kilometers through a maze of corridors, across 2 security checkpoints, and up a heavily guarded elevator shaft. 30 minutes, he murmured. Starting now. Outside, in the black of space, the Mothkai fleet attacked. 7 ships against 30. Suicide against certainty. But they flew like fury incarnate, like every loss and grief and stolen year compressed into pure kinetic revenge. Vesara's flagship, a converted mining barge renamed Last Hope, led the charge directly at the nearest capital ship, weapons blazing. The Zalkar Second Fleet responded exactly as predicted. They launched fighters, activated defense platforms, pulled capital ships from their patrol routes to intercept these insects who dared strike at the Empire's tribute station, which meant Chen's team had their window. They moved fast. Morrison led them through service corridors that slaves used. The Zalkar never looked at their servants closely. First checkpoint approached. 2 guards, bored and inattentive. Chen signaled. Rodriguez moved like smoke, blade finding throats before either guard could cry out. 15 minutes, Morrison whispered. Second checkpoint was harder. 4 guards, scanner array, biometric locks. Chen felt sweat on his spine. This was where the plan could collapse. Morrison stepped forward. Spoken Zalkar, her accent perfect. Something about unusual tribute requiring verification. The guard's attention focused on her. Okonkwo moved. Plasma fire silenced and precise. 4 guards down. Morrison sliced through the biometric lock with a Mothkai device that made the system think it was reading the correct biosignatures. The door opened. They were in. The elevator shaft loomed ahead. According to the schematic, it went straight up, 3 kilometers of vertical climb with minimal cover. Guards stationed every 100 meters. Can't use the elevator, Rodriguez said. They'll lock it down the second shooting starts. Agreed, Chen said. We climb. Sir, that's a 3-kilometer vertical shaft. Then we better start moving. They entered the shaft through a maintenance hatch. The climb was nightmare. Magnetic grips on their boots and gloves, pulling themselves up against artificial gravity while trying to remain silent. Below, alarms began to blare. The Mothkai attack had intensified. The station was going to high alert. 10 minutes, Morrison gasped. Chen's arms screamed, his lungs burned. 1 kilometer. Guards spotted them at 2.5 kilometers. Plasma fire lit the shaft like lightning. Chen's team returned fire while climbing, a desperate race against gravity and bullets. Rodriguez took a hit. Grunted. Kept climbing. Flesh wound, she said through gritted teeth. Almost there, Chen urged. They reached the top. The Queen's chamber was behind a door marked with Zalkar sigils that Morrison translated as Warning, Biological Hazard. Chen planted charges on the lock. Everyone back. The explosion was shaped, focused. The door blew inward. Chen's team rushed through, weapons ready. The chamber was massive. And at its center, suspended in some kind of energy field, was the Mothkai Queen. She was enormous, easily 12 feet tall, her carapace gleaming like polished obsidian. But even unconscious, Chen could see the grace in her form, the lethal beauty. She was a warrior who'd been caged for 2 centuries, and the Empire had paid dearly to keep her that way. Morrison, disable the field, Chen ordered. Everyone else, defensive positions, they know we're here. The sedation system is integrated with the containment field. If I shut it down, she'll wake up.
The Queen fell.
Chen caught her, or tried. She was heavier than expected, chidden over dense muscle. Her eyes opened, compound and ancient and filled with rage. She spoke. The Neuralink translated. Who dares? Allies, Chen said. Matriarch Visera sent us. We're getting you out. The Queen's gaze focused. Visara lives? The Resistance. Her voice was weak but sharpening. How long? 200 years, Your Majesty. But your people never forgot. And now we're here to take you home. The door exploded. Zalkar soldiers poured through. Not the bored guards from the checkpoints. These were elite, armored in exoskeletons, wielding weapons that made the air shimmer with heat. Chen's team opened fire. The Queen, still weak, tried to stand. Failed. Chen covered her, his plasma rifle screaming defiance. "We need an exit," Okonkwo shouted. "Working on it." Morrison was at a terminal, fingers flying. "The Mothkai fleet is at the station now if I can signal them." 5 minutes, Rodriguez said, checking her ammunition. "That's what we have before they overwhelm us." The Queen's hand gripped Chen's shoulder. Her strength was returning. "I know this station. There is a cargo bay below us. But the route is through ventilation." "Show us," Chen said. She pointed. A grate in the floor, barely large enough for a human. Impossible for her. She understood this. "Go. Save yourselves."
Negative, Chen said flatly. "We came for you."
"We leave with you or not at all. Stubborn human. You have no idea." Chen turned to his team. New plan. Morrison signals the Mothkai. They pick us up from the exterior hull. "That's insane," Rodriguez said. "Everything about today is insane." Chen fired at an advancing soldier. "What's a little more?" Morrison sent the signal. Outside, the Mothkai fleet broke off their attack. The last hope, burning and bleeding atmosphere, turned toward the station's central spire. Vesera's voice crackled through Chen's comm. "We see you, Admiral. Hold position." But the Zalkar saw them too. The Second Fleet's flagship, a dreadnought that made Earth's defenses look like toys, turned its main batteries toward the approaching Mothkai vessel. Chen watched through the chamber's viewport as lances of energy crossed the dark. The last hope twisted, dodged, but couldn't avoid them all. Her shields collapsed. Hull plating vaporized. She kept coming. "Visara! Pull back!" Chen shouted. "You can't!" Absolutely. For the allies who came when no one else would. A pause. "It has been an honor, Admiral Chen, not an accident. A choice. The impact tore through floors, through hull plating, through the carefully maintained systems that kept the station operational. Alarms shrieked. Artificial gravity failed. The Zalkar soldiers stumbled. Chen's team moved. Zero-gravity combat was chaos, but humans trained for it. The Mothkai Queen adapted instantly. Her species had evolved in low-gravity environments. She became a whirlwind of blades and fury. 200 years of imprisonment focused into pure violence. They fought their way to the breach in space beyond. The station was dying around them, explosions blossoming like flowers. Chen grabbed the Queen, activated his suit's emergency seal. "Everyone, magnetic boots off." "We jump on my mark." "Where?" Okonkwo demanded. Chen pointed. Through the debris field, limping but functional, came the rest of the Mothkai fleet. And behind them, emerging from quantum slip, the Defiant and Earth's remaining destroyers. "To our ride," Chen said. 3, 2, 1, jump. Chen's suit recyclers kicked in, providing precious oxygen. The Queen wrapped around him, her body creating a shield against debris. The Mothkai ships moved to intercept, extending grappling fields. Chen felt the familiar tug, the disorienting pull as he was drawn into a cargo bay. They landed in a heap. The Queen rose first, helping Chen to his feet. Around them, Mothkai crew members stared. Then, as one they dropped to their knees, the Queen stood among them, wounded and weak but alive. Free. "My children," she said, and Chen heard the harmonics shift, not speaking to him now, but to her people through channels humans couldn't access. "You never forgot. You never surrendered." "Never, my Queen," came the collective response. Chen left them to their reunion, found his way to the bridge. The fleet was pulling back, the station imploding behind them. The Zalkar Second Fleet pursued, but half-heartedly. They'd lost their tribute station, their symbol of conquest. The Empire would be furious. Good. Admiral Chen. The Queen appeared on the bridge, looking stronger already. "Visara gave her life for me. For us. I will not let that sacrifice be meaningless." "What do you mean?" The Queen's eyes fixed on him with an intensity that suggested vast intelligence behind those compound lenses. "The Mothkai have fought from the shadows for 2 centuries. We have allies. Species who pretend loyalty while dreaming of freedom? Vesara died to show them that resistance is possible. That the Empire can bleed." She gestured to the view screen at the burning station. "This will echo across the galaxy. And when it does, when those oppressed species see what we accomplished together," she smiled, and it was a warrior's expression, The Zalkar Empire's peace will shatter. Uh, this wasn't just a rescue, it was a declaration. A match struck in a galaxy soaked in gasoline. My queen, a Mothkai officer said. We're receiving transmissions, coded frequencies, from the Shelvar, the Hentani. The core collective, the officer's voice shook with emotion. They want to know if the rumors are true. If you live. If humanity truly fights alongside us.
The Queen looked at Chen.
How do we respond, Admiral? Your species has already paid dearly for this alliance. Chen thought of Luna, of Earth's wounded oceans, of Vesera's final charge, of the choice humanity had made when the Empire demanded tribute. To stand, to fight, to refuse submission regardless of cost. Tell them, he said, that the Mothkai Queen lives, that humanity stands with all who choose freedom over chains, and that the Zalkar Empire's 10,000 years of dominance ends now. He smiled grimly. Tell them we're just getting started. The Queen transmitted. Within hours, responses flooded in. Species that had been conquered, broken, forced to serve, all asking the same question, is it true? Can we fight? Together. Chen watched Earth grow on the view screen as the fleet returned home. Lost ships, lost people. The last hope was gone, Vesasara with it, but they'd proven something vital. The Empire wasn't invincible, and humanity wasn't alone. The Queen stood beside him. Your people are strange, Admiral. You fight for others before yourselves. It is inefficient, but admirable. We fight for ourselves by fighting for others, Chen corrected, because a galaxy where the strong devour the weak is a galaxy we don't want to live in. My people have memory. Warriors who remember every battle, every loss. We will teach the galaxy what the Zalkar have tried to make them forget. That freedom is worth any price. And humanity will show them how to pay it, Chen added. The war was far from over. The Empire would respond with overwhelming force. Earth would burn before this ended. But as Chen watched his damaged fleet limp home, the Mothkai vessels flying in formation beside them, he felt something he hadn't felt since this began. Hope. Not for victory, not for peace, but for the possibility that when this war finally ended, when the last shots were fired and the last ships fell, it would be the Empire that knelt, that begged, that finally understood the price of demanding submission from those who would rather die free than live as slaves. The Zalkar had ruled for 10,000 years because no one had ever truly challenged them. Because species fought alone, or crushed alone, or forgotten alone. That era was over. Humanity had declared war. The Mothkai Queen had answered. And across the galaxy, in the dark spaces between stars, others were beginning to listen, to hope, to sharpen their blades and remember what it felt like to be free. The Empire had demanded tribute. Humanity had refused. And in that refusal, in that simple, stubborn no, the first cracks had appeared in a dominion that had stood since before Earth discovered fire. Now those cracks would spread, widen, until the entire rotten structure came crashing down. Chen smiled. It was going to be a long war, a brutal war. But it was going to be their war, fought on their terms, for stakes the Empire had never imagined. Freedom. Dignity. The right to stand tall and say no to tyranny regardless of its power. Morrison, Chen said, send a message to all Earth Defense Forces, to every ship, every station, every human who still draws breath. Yes, sir? Tell them the Mothkai Queen lives. Tell them we have allies. Tell them the impossible happened today. He paused, choosing his words carefully. And tell them to get ready, because the Empire is going to come at us with everything they have. And we're going to make them regret it. As Earth filled the view screen, wounded but unbroken, Chen allowed himself one moment of certainty. The Zalkar had demanded humanity kneel. Instead, humanity had helped a fallen queen rise. And in doing so, had shown the galaxy something it had forgotten. That some things, dignity, freedom, the right to choose one's own fate, were worth dying for. Worth killing for. Worth burning the entire galaxy to ash to protect. The Empire would learn this lesson, one battle at a time. One fallen ship at a time. Until the day came when their 10,000-year reign ended not with a whimper, but with the sound of countless species, countless voices, all saying the same word humanity had spoken from the beginning.
The war had just begun.
But for the first time in 10,000 years, the outcome wasn't certain. And uncertainty, Chen thought as the fleet entered Earth's atmosphere, was the Empire's worst nightmare. They had ruled through fear, through inevitability, through the assumption that resistance was futile. Humanity and the Mothkai had just proven that assumption wrong. Now they would prove it again, and again, till the galaxy believed. Until the galaxy rose. Until the Empire fell. And when it did, when the last Salkar warship burned and the last tribute station crumbled, historians would look back at this moment. At a damaged fleet returning home. At a rescued queen and a stubborn admiral. At the Alliance, that should have been impossible, and they would mark it as the beginning, not of humanity's war, not of the Mothkai's revenge, but of the galaxy's liberation. The long walk to freedom had begun. And nothing, not the Empire's might, not their fleets, not their 10,000 years of dominance, would stop it, because humanity had answered the Empire's demand. The Mothkai Queen had risen, and the galaxy would never be the same.